Transdemic podcast. Welcome back to the second to last of the year episode of Transdemic. Let's not talk too much. Let's get right to the conversation today with myself and Binley. I don't know. Right about now.
I guess we can attempt, which is going to be very difficult, to stay away from, too politic heavy of an episode. But I guess, I don't know. I guess for me, I'm still. It's funny because it doesn't matter what point you aren't in what people would call transition and all that, but it just never seems to. I don't know. It's just always a thing every day. Like I always have to deal with things that I feel like would be weird if I didn't have to deal with being trans anymore. It'd be like, I don't know. I feel like it takes up so much of my day, but I also work with families and clients and I'm in public all the time. Do you feel like, as you move on in your transition and all that, that it's becoming less of an issue or the same or more of an issue comes up?
That's such a weird question. Cause like, in a way, in one way, depending on the day, I'm like feel better and further into my transition. But then like if I see my hips or
Yeah.
I see my lack of like, I have no hair on my chest or my stomach, like at all, like in the sun, you can see a tiny happy trail. I'm also, there's a little bit of hair, but I'm just like, I'm so blonde that like my whole like chest area still, like, I mean, obviously I had top surgery, so that's like fucking incredible, and I am so happy for that every day, but like it's still very like feminine in my opinion, as far as like there's no hair. I still have like the huge hips. I've been working out like even more now, like really seriously working out and eating to like lose this hip fat, because I've like pulled on it, and I noticed if I just lose the actual like fat on my hips that like is naturally on like biological women or like anyone like on estrogen or whatever, like the fat there, if the fat goes away, then my actual like hip bone isn't that big, I've noticed. So like if I can just lose that fat, and it's not a weight thing, it's a dysphoria thing. So like if I can get rid of that, then I would be pretty straight, like a pretty straight build. So
that seems hard because it's like one of those things you always will have to keep in mind. Like if like you ever tip to have too much weight in that area, like you might like freak out if it's like in a good spot, and then you like as you get older, because we all naturally gain weight. That seems hard. It's kind of scary.
Yeah, that's where it's kind of fucked up, because it's like, oh, it's great that I have top surgery and I've been on T for almost a year and everything, but like the hip thing, and I know people say to be patient. I know some people says it takes up to like 3 years for the like fat to redistribute and stuff. So like there is hope. But yeah, it's always in the back of my head, like, well, if I don't eat healthy today, or I don't like go work out or whatever, like I'm never gonna get rid of that hip fat. And it's so messed up because it's not a weight thing at all. I'm not like, oh, I'm fat. It's like, I have dysphoria because my hips look like feminine and I don't want them to. So that's like a whole fucked up thing. And then another thing I've noticed, like since I had top surgery, I really want bottom surgery more than I did before. And I think part of that reason I didn't want it before was because of how scared I was to actually just have surgery.
Yeah.
But I've been like, there's so many different options, and like the option for bottom surgery that I hope to be able to go with one day is on the cheaper side. It's not like a serious surgery compared to some of them, mainly because I'm a drummer and I don't want to like take a skin graft from anywhere on my body, because I don't like risking like hurting nerves or something and making my drumming like worse. I just can't even imagine that. So the one I want is technically, it's called like a simple release, and it's like a pretty affordable surgery. So like thinking about that, but I couldn't even get that for another year because you have to be on T for at least 2 years to get it, and like all this stuff. And it's just like a giant spiral of like trying to appreciate what has changed that I love, but also you still just like nitpick those things that haven't changed, and it's just like, it's fucked up.
Slippery slope. It looks like you're on it.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a runaway train.
At least I don't work with kids. I honestly don't know how you can like mentally handle that.
I can't. It's families and kids are I don't know. I don't know how I do it either. Sometimes it's just, but that's what I mean. Like it's. I guess it's in our faces in different ways. Because I get all that stuff too, body stuff and all that. But it's also like in my face in relationships. Yeah. I mean, and like changing a name. Basically everything that I change is to give people more tips and more hints at who I am because they can't seem to understand that. So like a name change is just another hint of like who I am, but all under these like really fucked up binaries and like these rules of the binary, which is, I feel like for a lot of trans people, not all of them, obviously, like even if you're binary, identify as one of the binary genders or whatever, like I feel like you still break through that binary as a trans person. Like you just have a perspective as a trans person that's so beyond the binary, even if you relate to one binary or the other.
Yeah.
And, it's weird that you have to give all these tips to people and it's still fucked up. Like it doesn't really make a difference in my situation. I don't think like the name change isn't really going to make a difference for people seeing me a certain way or not. It's kind of wild.
Yeah, that's got to be so frustrating. And then just like, I don't know, even I haven't worked with kids, like I babysat and stuff, but like I even just remember when I'm in school how parents can be so nitpicky with the teachers and stuff. So like, yeah. I just don't even know how you handle that. Like that is some tough, I guess you're just tough. I don't know. Like I just could not handle. I try and like, I don't get misgendered often and I don't like deal with awkward stuff, but I also like go out of my way to not deal with it, so it's not like, I don't know how I would handle that situation personally, but like right now, my main thing is like my closest friends, not Kaylin's really good with everything, but like my other friends that aren't like around all the time. Yeah. They like anytime I see them, it's just like misgendering, and like some of them don't even
still
notice. Yeah, still like the last week, like I have friends that like the only one that's been good for like since I came out or even before that was Kaylin. But like, yeah, last week I was at this like patio. Me and my friends were like hanging out outside on this patio, being all like COVID safe, but just like so much misgendering and then no like fixing it or even noticing. So like to me it was kind of awkward, but then like the fact that they didn't even notice, I don't know if that made it better or worse for me. And then someone was there that I just met, so then I'm like, what do they think? Like what's going on? It's like this whole,
that shit's awkward as fuck.
It's so awkward, and I'm not one to like, I'm very open online and like my Instagram and stuff to like help out other people. But in person, I'm not like, oh, hey, I'm trans. Hey, I'm trans. It's like a online persona to like help the youth because I didn't have the help that I feel like I needed as a kid,
Yeah.
So, like in person, I'm not like that guy. I'm just trying to fit in like everybody is, I think, So it's just like anytime the misgendering goes on, it's happened quite a bit actually with different people I've met, like someone's like boyfriend or partner or something. And then they say she, and then it's like, I just met this person, like, what do they think now? I literally just met them. Like,
it puts you in a weird position, and it's hard to say anything in the moment. I mean, for me, it is.
Yeah, it's really hard for me, especially just with the new person there. I don't want any more attention on the subject from like the person I don't really know.
Yeah, I think that's why it's weird, because it's like a very personal sort of thing that you have to be open about to people that you don't even know. And I think that's what makes it awkward as well. And for the people that do know you really well, being there and knowing maybe a little bit of what you've been through and then not honoring that's a different thing. That's like that's annoying. That makes me very irritated.
Right.
But then that's different. That's like separate, but adding to like when you just meet somebody and they're involved there, it's all like fucked up. Like it's very awkward.
It's so awkward. And then like another thing happened the other day. One of my best friends, she was having like a fight with their boyfriend, and I was out hiking and I was like, hey, I can't hang out with you right now, but like I'm here for you. I can hang out with you later. And then she's like, well, thanks, because I wanted to invite Zach over, but that would be weird if I invited like a dude over when I'm in a fight with my boyfriend. And it's like, okay, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's just
that makes
like,
me feel bad, like gross.
I know. I was like cringing, and I was like, oh, how do I handle this? And I was like, I had to think about it real hard, but luckily I was like outside in nature. So I was just like, okay, they obviously don't like get it, and they're in a bad place right now, like in a fight with their boyfriend. Like, this isn't about me right now. This is about like their stress and their relationship, and they were like reaching out for a friend, so like I can handle this later, you know? Like, I'm not gonna like kick them when they're down, but it was just like, ugh.
That sucks. That one really, I feel for you on that one.
Yeah.
I feel like that shit happens in different ways to me, like all the time. So like when you say stuff like that, you know, my heart drops because I'm instantly put in that situation. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, no, for sure. It's terrible.
It sucks. It's and there's no one. The toughest thing is that there's no one, at least for me and probably for a lot of trans people, to really talk to about it. You could talk to therapists, which I should look into, but you know, it costs money. I do have insurance. I should look into that. But it's just like, even with the therapist, it's still hard. Like it's something you got to deal with. Like that kind of thing. I wish we had more support from our friends and stuff that really could help us like process that, because I feel like even when I talk to people about it, like I feel like that's all I'm talking about with people sometimes.
Yeah, it's kind of draining, and like it sucks because like I wouldn't say like they might have like internalized transphobia that they don't know about, you know, because like everybody kind of has some until they deal with it. But like it's I know they don't mean it badly, but like most people, and like I've taken like gender studies courses in college and stuff over quarantine, and like just trying to always like educate myself on everything, because like even I don't know everything, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
like the fact that most people haven't taken any type of like gender studies or understand that you're trans regardless if you pass or not, or like any of the weird things, like I feel like they're allies and they mean well, but like they don't realize like you don't have to pass, and like just different, everyone's transition is different. Some people never do medical stuff and it's all valid, but like I feel like this big group of people that also mean well don't see that, and they can't like connect in their brain that you're still the gender you say you are, even if you don't look that way. Like,
yeah, I get that,
like without meaning it badly, but it's like, how do you get, like, that's pretty much like there's the really good allies that are like woke as fuck, and then there's like the allies that don't realize they're doing wrong. So it's like, how do you go about that without like attacking them? Because like technically they don't mean it in a bad way, they just are uninformed.
I guess at some point it has to be how long. I mean, at this point for you, like, let's take your case for example. It's been a long time, in my opinion, that those people probably knew. I don't know exactly when they knew, but if they knew around the same time other people knew, like, yeah, you're getting to the line of like, you should. It's becoming not tolerable anymore.
Yeah, it's been over. Most people have known for over a year, and I'm just about to hit a year on T in a couple weeks. But they knew like before I even started T. And if any, and everyone, the other frustrating part is like, I'm like, okay, well, they haven't seen me that much because of like quarantine and stuff, but like I'm on social media and they follow me on Instagram, and my whole Instagram is like trans based. So it's like,
yeah,
what are you not getting?
Yeah, for me, with people like that, and I keep myself away from a lot of people just because that's who I am anyway. But yeah. Like for me, I just start to just stay away from those people, even if they were. And again, I don't have like a lot of really good friends, so it's easy for me to be like, yeah, fuck these people, because I just don't have a lot of close friends that I've had to do that with. Because most of the people that I've been friends with or told have been very, very good about it, because those are the people that are like really, really close to me, which is very few.
Yeah.
So I haven't really had a lot of situations like that. And I think I'm kind of like, I think you might have mentioned this a minute ago, but I like purposely try to stay away from situations or people where I feel like it wouldn't be good.
No, totally. And I don't blame you. I try as best as I can. There's just some people, it's like, some friends I've totally let go, but others it's like I need to give them a few chances. But like after a while, it's gonna be like, okay, like I can't hang out with you. Like we can be like far away buddies or whatever, but like there's gonna be a point where it's like I can't keep seeing you in person and like being misgendered like after this long. Like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's weird. It's funny to me too. Not weird, but it's interesting because I wouldn't even I don't, to me, you know, when trans people are trans, they've always been trans.
Yeah.
And I've always seen you outside of the bind. I've never thought of you in any way like, oh, this is who it is. Like, and the last thing I would think of is like, oh yeah, I'm going to call you up when I'm having problems with my partner. Like, I don't know. You don't strike me as like as I can't, like, somebody would be like, oh yeah, I'm going to call my girl up to like vent on. Like, it's this odd all together, forget gender.
Yeah, no, totally. And it's like that specific friend, we've been friends since like 5th grade. But It's like, dude, when have I ever been like, I don't know. I've just always been trans. I mean, I wasn't out as trans, but like I've always been trans. I've always been pretty masculine. I mean, it sucks. I mean, I have like feminine qualities and I'm not ashamed of them. And I definitely like, once I can grow a mustache, I'm going to be doing drag and like having fun with like my feminine side and everything. Yeah. But like, I like makeup sometimes, like not in public, but like I like, I don't want to wear makeup in public, but like I like wearing makeup and stuff, like just for fun. But like, I've never been like, I'm a woman. Like, it's just not, I don't know where all these people are getting that from, but it's so weird. Like, and it's weird how different people do it. Like, I had one ex tell me, and they didn't mean it in a bad way either. It pissed me off, but like, they genuinely did not mean it in a bad way, but they're like, you will always be like my ex-girlfriend. And it's like,
oh my.
Oh, it's like, yeah, they're like, once you like I dated you, we got really close. Like, I can't unsee that. And it's like, okay. Like, I didn't like, I was just like, okay.
It's confusing because it's like those kind of people, it says a lot more about them, I think. And we project, we feel like it, obviously it triggers us. But that's like weird hangups that they have on it. And it takes a real maturity and like, acceptance and growth, I think, to get to a place. And you're not going to have that place really for somebody that's an ex. You know, it takes a whole nother level. Like Jamie's been able to reframe the way she sees a lot of the relationship because she cares that much about me, you know?
Yeah.
I think if it's an ex, that's some shit coming up. That's not allowing them to take that leap, nor do they care about it at this point.
Yeah, and it was weird because they were like trying to like date again. So it was like, why would I date you after you said that?
Yeah, you've told me some shit about other instances, and I was like, what are you doing?
Get the
fuck away from these people.
Seriously. Yeah, you tell me that anytime because sometimes I like to just see the good and then I like get hurt because I totally ignore.
Well, there's a line, you know, like to me, those people are just, when you would tell me things like, there's a line, like if someone really cares about you as a trans person, whether or not they knew the whole time or they learn about it, there's just a way that you're going to talk to somebody that you care about. And sometimes things happen and things slip, but then, you know, that should be quickly followed up with an apology and all that. Like, but there's a line of language that was used in certain instances that you were talking about that to me were like huge warning signs.
Yeah, right. Yeah, let me know. I'm really trying, and I've been like working on that in therapy, like noticing red flags and stuff, and I'm definitely getting better at it. But like that is one of my I don't know, I don't have that skill, I guess.
I think everyone lacks that skill though. I don't think it's just you. I think because it's easy to see from an outside perspective like mine.
Yeah.
But I think when you're in it, it's different.
No, it really is, because I can like see the red flags with my friends and be like, what are you doing? And then with me, I'm like, oh, it's fine.
It's fucked up. But that's another layer, and a little bit of what this podcast in this particular episode seems like it's going to, of just like how complex our relationships can be with not just friends, but partners and then just strangers. Like we have these incredibly potent relationships with people just because of who we are. Like we have to be vulnerable on a level that no one else has to be just because of who we are. It's really fucking weird.
It is, yeah. And it's almost like it's not our job, but like at the same time, I feel like it still is kind of my job to like educate people on it so that hopefully other people don't get like disrespected like I have, at least from like the specific people. So it's just so confusing, and everyone is so different, and it's almost like a spectrum of like ally is almost a spectrum, just like everything. Like really everything can be on a spectrum, but like it's like I feel like they all mean well, but it just shows like the spectrum is almost of effort.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, just like when someone tells me like, oh, I have this like disorder or this disease or something, and they're my friend, I will spend a whole day like researching it and like trying to understand them more so I can like empathize for them when they're like going through shit instead of just being like, oh, like what are they doing? It's like,
yeah,
it just seems normal if you care about someone to like learn about them and like what they're going through instead of just like being like, okay, cool. Like that'd be great if you could just be like, okay, cool, but it's like you're not gonna understand things unless you like learn about it,
100%. And I think it's important for us as the people that are dealing with it. And what I'm really learning, what I think is a very valuable tool that I've been developing over the last year, is being an advocate for yourself is like the most important thing that you can do. And I feel bad, obviously, still when I'm having to correct or send emails. That's a great way to do it, actually, because you don't have to deal with them in person. But if I have a situation, whether it's at a store with people who don't know me, or like with the food pop-ups we've been doing in that bar, I just send emails and I'm like, look, it's cool. Like, I understand maybe you're not familiar, but blah, blah. Like, you have to be more respectful of this. And it's important with people I work with, and so I did that at the kitchen. We have a kitchen space that we work out of, and nothing crazy happened, but like, there was like a couple people I met. They're like, oh, hey man, whatever it is, fine, whatever. It's not a huge deal, but because I'm working in the kitchen and I rent that kitchen out, I just sent the email to the head person, like, just so you know, this is the situation. I need to be respected because this is my space when I'm here. So just letting people know ways to advocate for yourself. And then I didn't get a response. I hate that shit.
Right.
Like when people don't respond, bothers the fuck out of me. But I went back the next week, and then everybody's like uber nice, so they got the message, and then they're being nice. And then the bar people, same thing. They didn't say anything to me directly, but then they were like overly nice, and they felt really bad. They told the promoter that helps us promote these venues for our food, like our food promoter. It's weird. It's kind of an agent. But yeah, and told them that they felt like really bad about everything. But that's the role of like what we have to do right now as advocates in real life. Like the real life advocacy that's not on social media is advocating for yourself, educating people that you're going to be working with. And that is really what's going to bridge these gaps for trans people in community. Like, you can't just fucking post things, not talking about you, but I just mean like, if you don't put in the community work or the shit that I do at work, then you're not, to me, that's an advocate. That's advocacy, not just getting on a soapbox and being like, oh yeah, trans people.
Yeah, it's weird. And my job still isn't open, but when I was at my job and stuff, it's weird because like shit will go down and you'll be misgendered and stuff. And then my first reaction is to be like angry because I'm like, I've told you this 100 times. Like, how many times is it going to take for you to just like swallow this pill, So I have to like go outside and like walk around the venue and like breathe and then go back in and then explain to them what's going on. But then like one of my managers was like, this is going to take me a long time. Like, I've known you, blah, 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 whatever. And I was like, at that point I was like, yo, my name is legally changed now. Like it's legally changed in the system, my ID, my paycheck. Like, you have got to get my name right and stuff. And she was like, it's going to take me longer than a couple months. And like, there was one time where I like snapped and I was like, that looks bad for everybody to like snap. But at the same time, I was like almost no words. Like, how long, like, what do you need? How long do you need? If it's like legally changed, you're the one who puts my name in the schedule and everything. Like, how are you still not getting this right?
Yeah, it's too long. I can tell you that. I don't even know how long it was. It was too long.
I'll be shocked if it's even fixed by the time I get back, to be honest, with this one specific person. But it's just like some people at my work got it right away, like no mistakes, whatever, just like, oh, cool, whatever, right to it. And then others are like, I don't understand, like this is gonna take forever. And it's like, just pretend I'm a new employee then. Like you wouldn't call a new employee the wrong name.
That's yeah, it's also true. Which I think that also makes it makes me feel like once that name is cemented and we don't have to deal with people that have known us previously, I think that's always the best situation. Because then it's like, well, you've only known me by this name, so you can't call me anything else, you piece of shit.
Right. Yeah, and it's weird. There's been so many times lately, even in like the COVID world where I rarely see anyone, or I'm like, God, I totally understand why people like move and go stealth. It's not like there was a time where I can admit I kind of thought it was like almost like a weakness to like move and just go stealth and never talk about it. But now I see it from a whole different perspective as like, just so much easier. We wouldn't have to deal with it. If you meet a whole bunch of new people and that's all they know you by, like there's not going to be mistakes.
Yeah.
Like,
even if there's misgendering by chance, they're still knowing you as who you are in a way. Like even if they get the random misgendering, like you're still known in a different way than like people having a history with you.
Yeah. And if they don't know your dead name, that's even better. And like, I totally understand why people do that. And I'm like, God, I wish I could just move. But then I'm like, it doesn't even matter because we've toured for 5 years straight. Like I couldn't, there's just no way. So it's like, that's not my path. So I just need to continue to be loud online and like do my thing. But I am kind of jealous of people that can just move and like start over. It seems really nice. But like with how many people we've met on tour and stuff like that, there's just no way I could do that.
Yeah, same here. And that's part of, I try to ignore that because I've gone down that rabbit hole a couple times. Like I can't remove old pictures. I can't, if you look up Moody Black, those first results, I don't even ever want to look at.
Yeah, that sucks.
And I can't, there's nothing I could do about it. I looked into removing stuff, and even up to like a year or two ago, about 2 years ago, like just presenting differently than I would now. Like it's hard to remove all that. So I just ignore it like it doesn't exist.
Yeah, no, you have to. And then if you go down that rabbit hole, then it's like, oh my God, my dead name is in thousands of CDs and tapes. And so like online, we've changed everything. And like on our Bandcamp, I've changed my name obviously and everything and all the notes I could find. But like I can't get a new publishing, like ASCAP. I'm stuck with ASCAP as my name. Yeah. And like ASCAP and BMI are harder to change than like anything in the whole world. It's crazy. And then I'm really bummed. We ordered more CDs a couple, like 2 months ago or something. And I just like hit the reorder button and totally spaced that the artwork has my dead name on it. And I'm like,
oh yeah, I remember. I think you mentioned that to me.
Yeah, and it's just like, oh man, like, I was just like, wow, yeah. It was just all day, just like, what did I do?
What have I done?
Yeah, it was such a bummer, but
that
like,
sucks.
What do you do? Like, they're paid for, they're here. And I don't even know, we paid someone to do the artwork for that, so I don't even know, like, what would I even do? Like, paste my name over? Like, who even knows? But yeah, there's just so many layers of being an artist coming out, like, later in life, too, where it's just, like, all this stuff. And I always think about that, like, just in 20 years, like, if we're still doing the band and people are like, oh, I have this CD from, like, 20 years ago, and it's just, like, my dead name, and it's like, oh, what a name.
Oh, it's going to happen.
Yeah. There's tons out there.
Yeah. It's probably gonna. It's funny because luckily the name that I had is close enough. Like I don't audibly, it's not going to be an issue for the most part. But my real name, that thing has bothered me forever. I don't know why the fuck I was even named that. No one ever called me that like my entire life. That's so weird. So I have like a double, triple name change thing because like there's the real name, then there's a name I went by my whole life, and then there's like a slight different spelling for a name you can call me now, and then there's like the real name that I am now. It's very bizarre. But yeah, I think we uncovered a lot of crazy shit today. It's funny because I had no idea what to talk about other than some things that were kind of bothering me, and they're all relationship based, like dealing with people's noise and just wondering, you get caught in the rabbit hole too of like wondering what people are thinking, even when things are totally fine. You're just like, oh my God, I'm always in my own head, like, because you just know, like, people just aren't aware enough, and just sucks. Sometimes it just sucks.
Yeah, it really does, especially when they should at this point.
Write down existential dread. Hallway, I'll spare you the details, but we'll see you next week right here on the last and season finale of the Transdemic podcast. Until sometime in 2021, thank you very much for listening, supporting. Go pick up the merch. Check out noiserap.com if you want to hear some music. And we'll see you next week here.